Doc, please tell us, where are you from? What and where did you study? And what are you currently doing?
Well, I grew up in Witbank. Happy, normal childhood, loved sport. After my school, I got a bursary to study somewhere, and the logic place closest was University of Pretoria. So that's where I started, and I did BSc and a teaching diploma, and I quickly realized that's not me. And it just happened that I got into, you know, mushrooms as being a postgrad topic, and that happened at the old botany department. So for all my life, almost, I was in mushrooms. After my studies, I was working on 2 mushroom farms, country mushrooms, and then at Denny. At Denny, I managed the spawn laboratory. They had a spawn lab back then. And since then, 32 years, I've been at Sylvan. Yeah, so I've been the general manager at the Sylvan Africa facility.
What sparked your interest in mushroom research and work?
Well, that naturally just came my way, or just happened. When I studied BSc botany department, I mean, mushrooms doesn't fit in anywhere. Mushrooms are not plants. But the late Professor Eicher, Albert Eicher, he was the head of the department at that time as well. He had an interest in mushrooms. So a lot of his research was on various aspects of mushrooms. And when I finished my teaching diploma, and then he just talked me into it. He said, but why don't you do an honours? And then the honours became a master's, and the master's became a PhD. So, and all those theses or research has been in topics of mushrooms. The first one was in an alternative for casing for mushroom growing. I'm talking now the button mushroom. Not all mushrooms needs casing. And my PhD was in pathogens and competitor weed molds. So that was in disease, mushroom disease. And from there, because of doing research or that kind of work, you had to go out to mushroom farms because it's kind of it's practical stuff. So that's why how I ended up going to farms. And when my studies were finished, I got a position at Country Mushrooms. So that's how that evolved. And mushrooms is just, it's magic, it's fascinating. There's so many aspects about it, you know. Everyone that knows you in mushrooms, they have questions.
Doc, can you please tell us if there are any specific scientists or researchers which have influenced your work? I know you spoke about your professor. Does anyone else come to mind?
Yes, many, but not in my, well, I suppose in my work as such, because I've got such an interest in fungi and mushrooms, of course, and everything around it. And because of my scientific background, I actually was, throughout my career, I attended the mushroom conferences. There's the mushroom, the ISMS, the International Society for Mushroom Science. They have a conference every 4 years. And there are many. The different countries have associations and they have conferences. So I happened to attend those conferences, and it keeps you alive, attending that. And quite often you've got to present to be able to go to a conference. So you do some work, and so you get to know the researchers around the world. And there's like how Dr. Helen Grogan, she's in Tigask, that's in Ireland. Ralph Noble in England, Anton Sonnenberg, he's in Wageningen University. There's a whole team. The researchers at Penn State University, you get to work and collaborate with them. And And the thing is, our local research that happened, the bit that happened, I was involved with that through my job at Sylvan. Although I wasn't a researcher, but because of my scientific background, I became the link between the research and the industry. So it became applied research. So I must say, I was very fortunate to have this whole network around me. And that's through Sylvan, because it's an international company. And then also local, because of all these years we had SAMFA, the South African Mushroom Growers Association. And as I said, I was like the link between the industry and the research, because a part of SAMFA, they funded research, mushroom research, which is, it was Dr. Naz and Prof. Korsten. And before them, it was a few others. So for years, there was research done locally. And then also SAMFA had a newsletter or magazine, 4 times a year, the Spawn Run, and I was the editor of that. So he was always looking for some stuff to publish. And so that forced you to read and to just stay active and involved in what's happening on the research, in the research front around the world, actually. Because we're such a small industry, mushrooms are small. Locally, even 10 times more, 100 times smaller than the industry globally. You know, South Africa's mushrooms is small, and even the world's mushroom industry is not huge. After so many years, you know everyone. You know, and it's a small, very special group of people. So to answer your question, all the information is out there, but somebody needs to grow and run with it. And also worldwide, I think there's less and less research done on mushrooms, and it's because of money. But there are still small groups of people that's doing research. At Penn State, as I say, and Wageningen, so very isolated. And also, if it's big companies investing in research, they want to keep it to themselves. So they don't want to put it out there like a university would. So it's very special and fortunate to have a research group and a team, like we had for years, at PlantPad. And the thing is, it takes years to build that, and it's quick to just wipe it out and destroy it. Advice to somebody that comes into this field, there's so many aspects of it. So firstly, to ask in what aspects. Say for instance, there's somebody that wants to grow mushrooms. Say for instance that. I would say you need to see it and live it, and where to study it. Unfortunately, I don't know where. There are mushroom courses. There's the mushroom office in Holland, and they have these courses that you can attend online, and then also attend the school, call it the school or the office, the mushroom office, and then you have your practical on farm, on site. But you like in South Africa, these courses on, I think it's only shiitake and oyster, exotic mushrooms, we call it exotics. At the Mushroom Academy in Franschhoek, there's a Dr. Adrian Smith, he hosts courses on that. So it's limited. Over the years, it's people that worked on mushroom farms and then they would break away and do their own thing. So they got the experience by working on a farm, and that's about the only. And the thing is, in our industry, unfortunately, people pay their school fees, and they're not very, they're a bit cagey, and they're very protective of their own information and their business. So if you can't get to work on a farm or see a farm or grow up, it's very difficult, I have to say, unfortunately. So if you really just want to go in, if you don't have a connection in the industry, that's difficult. But that's mushroom growing if you want to be a grower. If you just want to work at a mushroom farm, you know, there's always, at the moment, there's a shortage of staff, you know, people, but the difficult thing is mushrooms is 24/7. I promise, if a mushroom needs to be picked on Christmas Day, it's got to be picked at Christmas Day. And so it's hard, it's tough, and it's up early in the mornings, and okay, you can manage your time, but it's farming, you know, and it's nature. So, but on the big mushroom farms, there's fruit technologists, there's lab, or not research as such, but like they would analyze the substrate on a regular basis, you know. So these opportunities. If you think of, okay, the big mushroom farms in Europe, for instance, big facilities, they would have a whole research team doing research as such. You know, if that's a possibility. And these days, I mean, we want to keep our people in South Africa, but if you have to go overseas for a few years and come back, you know, opportunities are there. They're actually, our South Africans are in high demand in other countries. You know, I'm talking mushroom growers. And then looking at spawn facilities, for instance, I mean, within Sylvan, okay, our big labs are in France and in the States at this stage, where they do genetic work, big time. They develop, you know, to optimize substrate for specifically exotics, the oyster mushrooms and shiitake, and but to come up with new strains, it's a huge, you know, it's a big field, important, but and also these days there's IP to it. You need to protect the strains. You know, people copy it. It's too easy. You buy a mushroom and you culture it, you grow it out, and you think you can grow mushrooms. Not always, but people do that. You know, they copy strains, so you need to, what is the word? It's not protected, patented, yes. Yeah, you patent the strains. And that takes for years. And also to develop a new strain, we don't do GMOs. It's ethically not accepted. That's the only reason. The genome is mapped, but we can't just, but that information they can use to get to what we want. So it's the long old way of growing out cross strains. They would go to wild mushrooms and existing strains, cross it, grow it out, make spawn of it, grow mushrooms of the spawn, and so it goes.